District Attorney Lyle Harmon. Thank you for coming.
Yes,
I appreciate you coming sit down with me.
Thank you for asking.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the position. Of course, I know, but we're talking to people at home and listening on the way to work and that kind of stuff. So just give us a rundown of who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, I'm Lyle Harmon. I'm the District Attorney in St. Clair County. I've been the DA since January of 2019. I was appointed by Governor Ivey. I was in the office as the Chief Assistant and started in 2017 in St. Clair County. And I was in private practice before that. But my first legal job after graduating law school was Assistant District Attorney in Jefferson County.
Okay.
So I did that for a few years. Yep. I got activated for Iraqi freedom in the Guard and left. Made a promise to God that if he brought me home, I'd never leave St. Clair County.
And yet stepped out, right?
Well, no, I know God has a wonderful sense of humor because I failed on a lot of my promises there. But he did bring me home and has blessed me a lot by staying in St. Clair County.
A lot of people don't know you're a pilot.
I'm now a retired helicopter pilot.
Yeah. You flew
30 years.
What was your last helicopter?
Last one I flew was a Lakota.
The Lakota. That's the one with the 3 wing on the back, right? It's got the
weird wing on the back out of Birmingham.
Okay.
I started in Hueys. I flew Apaches. I flew, my favorite was Kyle Warriors. That's when I went to Iraq with the 101st Airborne Division.
Okay.
I flew Kyle Warriors. But
how do you not lead with that?
It was great, man. The military aspect of my life. I know you didn't ask, but it's very important part of the person that I am today. Yeah, and I wouldn't be a lawyer if it wasn't. My family. We always had everything we needed. Yeah, but they didn't have the money.
Same here. It was a great path for me. I did not fly helicopters. I was in the infantry, so I just booted around everywhere I learned how to clean really good.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I cleaned,
Well, my oldest son's an infantry officer now on that. And I got the GI Bill.
Yeah, so did I. I got my education on GI Bill. And then my kids are reaping some benefits from it. And, I can't say enough that it ain't a great path to go.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
So what do you do here? You prosecute. So just kind of walk people at home through, like you prosecute all the felony cases that come through St. Clair County.
We do, and all the misdemeanor cases that are made by the state.
Okay. Or the Sheriff's Department.
Or Sheriff's Department, county or the state law enforcement agencies, and then all felonies within it. Yeah. And a felony is any crime that has a sentence or a punishment of a year and a day or more, all the way to the death penalty. Yeah. And then anything under that would be a misdemeanor. Right. So traffic violations and things like that are some traffic violations are deemed a misdemeanor, like a DUI. Yeah. But some are just speeding tickets and things like that.
A lot of people may not know, like the DUI is actually a traffic citation. It's not, it is an on-view arrest that officers make, but ultimately, and I'm not talking to you because you know this, but for people listening, like something like a public intoxication or a disorderly conduct arrest or something like that, something that the officer saw, he made an arrest, he swore that the facts were true and that based on what he saw, his observations is he made the charge out of it. But a DUI is off of a ticket. That's you're signing a ticket, not a warrant packet. So, anyway, we've had some success together at Moody Police Department and the DA's office, and y'all do a phenomenal job.
Oh, thank you, Reece. Y'all do too. And I enjoy our partnership, and we've had some success with crimes that were committed. Yeah, the investigation of them and successful prosecutions. I really enjoy the partnership that we share. Oh yeah, and I've got all of your men and women. I've got them saved on cell phone. They all have me.
Yeah. We rode in the car together. I'll tell a funny story. When your assistant DA we ended up in the truck on one of those.
Oh, you and Mike Anderson.
Yeah, we ended up, and I said, "You ain't got blue lights in this thing," and he said, "No, I said, "Well, I guess we're just gonna have to drive the speed limit, or I'll hang out the window and wake people down."
Yeah.
Because I didn't have my car. So for some reason, I came off vacation and I came out there in my personal car because I was just coming through.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I'm getting in the truck with you." And he said, "Well, I got no blue lights." And I said, "Well, I guess we're just driving the speed limit then."
Well, that's a touch of a sore subject for most of us prosecutors. There was a day that we had blue lights, and I'm sure that in the past, a prosecutor took advantage of having that and shouldn't have. But that decision's made in Montgomery by the director of the Department of Public Safety. The current status is no go for blue lights, and so we don't have them.
Well, you never would think about it, but I mean, y'all come out to if the scene's bad enough. You'll be there. You're coming there,
right?
Because in order to prosecute a case, I do see it.
Absolutely.
Like helps you in the end.
Makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And I've directed dispatch our 911 operators that if it's a Class A felony, certainly a homicide, that I'm to be called. Now we have a on-call district attorney all the time, assistant all the time. But if it's a Class A felony or a homicide, they'll call me. Then you call me.
Yeah.
I'm
one of my
all of the chiefs. Sometimes you have to call me twice if it's 2:30 in the morning to wake me up. But we do go to the scenes. I go to every scene that I'm available to attend on a violent crime.
Yeah.
And for that very purpose is to, first of all, to offer assistance to law enforcement. We don't come on the scene. It is not our scene. It is yours.
Yeah, no, y'all have always been great.
And we're there to assist. We're there to learn from the very beginning
what took place.
Looking forward to what do we do if that case goes to trial.
That's right.
A year or 2 years or 3 years down the road.
Yeah. And a lot of people, let's just say right now, is in the DA's office, what is the turnaround on a I know you can't give an exact number. What's a turnaround on a serious felony case?
It's a depends
situation.
Answer. On our lower tier felonies, the turnarounds really quickly.
Yeah.
On the higher felonies, especially capital cases, we're at least 3 years.
Yeah. Which is really not bad.
No, it's not bad. Now it's easy for you and I to say that it's not bad, but to sit across from a victim's family,
you're right. Yeah.
Who's lost a loved one, and try to explain the process, and to be sure that the boxes are being checked. Because we don't want to do it twice.
And me and you, we've both been on the other side of that, and I get it. It's all attorney based. They file a motion. Well, that motion carries, could carry months of, they got to do this test, or they got to get this person, this expert.
Yeah.
So by the time everybody's done with motions, you're 3 years in on that. So it's really not a fact of that it's not moving fast enough. It's just dependent on defense attorneys and prosecution attorneys trying to make sure that all I's are crossed and all T's are, I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
That's absolutely correct. And when those type of motions are filed, we're at the, we're waiting on the agency that's going to conduct that additional investigation.
Yeah.
And, they're like so many others, they're not just overflowing with money.
Yeah.
And so it takes time.
DFS itself, that's the Department of Forensic Science. When you submit evidence to DFS, it's not a quick turnaround.
No.
So it could be years before you get something back.
Look, we are seeing some improvement with the Department of Forensic Science. But for example, one of your officers, does a pat down and finds methamphetamine on a individual. Well, we can't just present that case as, hey, Reece and Lyle thinks it's methamphetamine, because we have to show that it is what it is. And so it goes to the Department of Forensic Science, and they do their evaluation, and then we get a toxicology report that comes back that shows that defendant Smith, let's say, and, that it was methamphetamine. But that process could be anywhere from 6 months to 2 years.
Yeah.
And if you think, well, how can it take that long to look at one rock of methamphetamine? We just think about the hundreds and thousands of cases that it comes in, and then we've had capital cases that we've tried that we had over 600 exhibits that we offered into evidence that were admitted into evidence, and outside of the photos of those 600 exhibits, every one of those was evaluated by some professional. Whether it was a firearm expert or whether it was DNA or fingerprints or whatever.
Yeah.
And, it just takes time.
Oh, it does.
But you and I understand it. I don't know that it gives any comfort to a victim's family.
Does it? Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I think they just mainly, and I don't know that sometimes I'm not sure that just results do either. I don't know. I mean, there's no, until you've been in that position, you just don't know. No. And unfortunately, we have quite a few victims, and I think though the success rate of your office does help that, because it gives comfort knowing that, hey, these guys have a track record of success, and that, like, getting people that need to be behind bars to stay behind bars.
Well, I hope that's what those families feel.
I think it is. That's what I think for the county. I think it's, I think that overall, the DA's office will hold your feet to the fire.
Well, we do. Reece, like your office, all your officers, you've been blessed with wonderful people. It starts from the top, and with you for sure, with leadership, and I would love to take a lot of credit for the prosecutors in the office.
They do.
But I don't know that I can.
Yeah.
But I've been blessed with wonderful, wonderful prosecutors that go to court every day on hundreds of cases.
Yeah.
And they fight like the Dickens every day.
Oh, I know.
It's not. Yeah. It's not publicized. That's just not my style.
Yeah.
But they are in there fighting every day, and
they do
to try to make our community safe. And we look at St. Clair County now. We're 100,000 strong.
Yeah.
As far as people, and we got about 2,000 people that create all the problems.
All the problems.
And
isn't that wild?
It's wild. And of course, we get some crossover crime that you experience. But
me on this side, so we're in a unique position over here. We're sort of in the Birmingham Metro, where and Moody is the buffer, really.
Absolutely.
Leads a little bit, but there's a little bit of St. Clair County leads, but for the most part, Moody is the buffer.
Yeah, we're in.
Like we're on the wall. We're on the wall over here, and because there is a lot of crime that comes out of there. I'm sorry if that hurts somebody's feelings, but there's a lot of crime.
It is what it is. It's not. That's not knocking anybody, because do we get crossover crime coming from the Gadsden area? Yeah, but is it the same? No, it's not. The vast majority of crossover crime that we get does come from the Jefferson County area.
Yeah.
But hey, it is geographically is where we're located.
Yeah.
I try to focus on St. Clair County. I do see the news, and I know the struggle that Danny Carr has in Jefferson County. And
I'm not saying that there's not, that they're not doing steps to help it. I'm just saying that it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about cases y'all are seeing. What's trending for St. Clair County? If I'm a St. Clair County resident, what are we seeing?
Well, I think that's a good way to kind of explain kind of how our office works, and understanding that we get with traffic tickets all the way up to the homicide cases. I mean, we get over 15,000 cases a year that come in from the county, which is it seems like a lot, but and it is.
Yeah.
But not all of those cases can be tried or need to be tried.
That's right.
A lot of people go, well, they just plead out this or they plead out that. Well, sometimes we do. But my office looks, and we are bound by the law, Again, going back, I'm going to get to the answer, but understanding that, we have three branches of government, and this is very, very basic, but certainly Moody Police Department and every other law enforcement agency is easily discerned as an executive branch.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand what branch does the prosecutor belong to.
Yeah.
You're in the judicial branch. Well, that's where our judges are.
Yeah.
But we have those separations of power, and just for everybody watching, the DA's office is an executive branch function, just like you guys. Yeah. And so what that does is we have that separation of power, and so we present these cases to the judicial branch and the judge, and we have that separation of power there in case we step on ourselves or do something that we shouldn't have done. Yeah. And so we look at those things, and then we have the legislative branch that creates the laws and really, in the past few years, has dictated how we prosecute some of these cases. And so the grand scheme of guidelines for prosecuting crimes, they fall in certain categories. So, for example, if we use the example of the guy with the meth rob,
yeah,
all right, that is known as a guideline case. And so my office will run a formula. They'll look at the guy's criminal history. They'll look at, how much weight he had as far as the drugs. Was it within the school zone or something like that, if it was a sale. And we punch all that stuff in and we get a number. And Reece, we're bound by that number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of people probably don't know that.
No.
There's guidelines out there for.
I see some of your young officers from all across the state, and they make an arrest. And every arrest, by the way, is dangerous. I know you know this, but everybody has a gun nowadays, and half of those people have dope.
Yes.
And that's a dangerous situation with every police officer. So for everybody watching, if you'll just take a moment and think about, if you get pulled over, what that police officer's think.
Well, I tell people this, and I stand behind this. Most people, probably most everybody watching this, the worst that ever is going to happen to you is a traffic citation.
It's a ticket.
As a ticket.
Absolutely.
And you're going to be on your way. Worst thing that's ever going to happen to me.
That's right.
That is a traffic citation, right?
Yeah.
Now that's barring, something crazy, but still, for the most part, the majority of people, even the people that get upset about other people's issues, you're never worried about this. This issue will never affect you, but you're concerned with it. It's odd. Take a traffic ticket. Look, I've had them myself.
Me too.
It's part. So, unfortunately, they work. They do work. Traffic tickets work.
Slows people down.
Slows people down.
Yeah.
It makes people aware. Because if you remember that feeling when you got your first ticket for the next 6 weeks, you're like, where's he at? Where's he at? Right. That's the exact what we want to see happen. Right. Now, does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. I pay $200 because half of that. You know how much a traffic. You know how much a traffic ticket actually costs? Like just the ticket.
Yeah.
$20. It's like $20.
Yo,
the rest of it is what?
Well, it's called court costs, but it doesn't come to us. So we get like $10 too.
Yeah.
Off of it. But so the rest of that goes to the state of Alabama for our legislative branch to decide how they're going to differentiate it out. But but we don't make it.
There's a cost that I've seen it, and like the judges will have. I've seen the judges have those books. They have these little books that's got the costs associated with the ticket.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they make those anymore, but like
they probably don't want people to see it.
But like some of them are like $10, and you're like, well, dang, it's $230. What?
Where's this money at? But it goes to Alabama.
But I would say I don't know if it was only $10. People probably just be like, well, it's worth the money. Let's go.
Well, that's one aspect of it is that aspect. But as you move into personal crimes, the violent crimes, those are the cases that tend to go to trial more. And you ask about trends. The last 4 or 5 jury trials that we've tried has been sex related.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart that we certainly try homicides that we can't resolve in some fashion. But the trend of jury trials, knowing that we don't try everything, right now is the sex offenses, and in particular sex offenses involving children.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about breaking your heart. They're hard. It's difficult on our victim. It's difficult on their family. It's difficult on those jurors.
Yeah.
On those kind of cases.
Everybody that's involved.
Everybody. I have never tried one of those cases and talked to a juror after, whether it was a guilty verdict or a not guilty verdict, and their lives not be affected by it. And anybody that sits on a jury of that nature, to include homicides, their lives are changed. And I'm cognizant of that and I understand it, but it's not a perfect system.
Yeah.
But it's the best system in the world.
It is.
And but they're difficult. And Reece, we're seeing when you're dealing with a child victim, sometimes we get delayed disclosure. And that is a problem. And by delay, they don't tell anybody immediately. We get into issues of grooming, and typically it's a family member of some sort, and they start grooming that child at an early age of reasons not to tell, and it's not what we would think. It's not overly obvious like we would think for those of us who've never been abused.
Yeah,
it is subtle things like if we tell I'm gonna get in trouble, and who's gonna take care of the family, and who's going to take care of your mother. And it puts a lot of burden on that child victim of what to do. And in a lot of situations, that child victim, that's their normal.
Yeah.
And they don't understand. But what that does for us as prosecutors is that we don't have the forensic evidence. If you go out to a rape first case, and this is awful to talk about, but this is the reality of what happens in our county. And you have a forcible rape, and you see that victim, and you see the wounds on her body, and you can get her to the SANE center to have a medical evaluation done. And most of the time, we can get forensic evidence, whether it's DNA or other bodily fluids that may come from that. And oftentimes, I wonder that if our jurors that are sitting up there aren't expecting that kind of
because of exterior influence.
Absolutely. You've got drama on TV, and you've got that creates our mind of what we expect these things to be. And then
with these delayed cases, and I'll layman's that down a little bit. Like, let's just say something happened, and you were 13. Something happened. You were kind of. I don't know the psyche, so I don't even want to speak to why you wouldn't. But there are reasons of like, hey, they may not feel like they can, or But let's say 7 years occurs between the two, and you say, hey, this happened. Well, then it's just up to police work, old-fashioned police work.
It's up to police work. It's up to
prosecutor's office trying to pull every resource, but
to do what we can do, and then it ultimately comes down to who does a jury believe?
That's right.
Oftentimes our jurors, they want, in today's society, they want to see video. And on some of our trafficking stuff, I mean, we got video. Yeah. Body cam was the best invention ever made.
Or the worst. I'm telling you,
it's the best.
It is good, but it did do some things that's affected us negatively. Probable cause is now affected. It's affected.
Absolutely.
It's affected by it. And it's just now it's like everybody's arguing over who should see it, who shouldn't, and whatever. And,
and I get it. I get that aspect of it. And in my opinion, is very simple. If viewing that body cam footage will affect the outcome of that trial, then it shouldn't be viewed.
That's right.
Period. And,
Yeah.
with that comes a conspiracy that the government has something to hide. And, what I try and want St. Clair County citizens to understand is, have people ever wondered why it's the state of Alabama versus John Smith and not Lyle Harmon versus John Smith?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it's because, and we go back to very simple things, that only the government can take away life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness. And it goes back to what we studied when we were kids. And so oftentimes the defense will try to correctly refer to us as, well, the government or the state of Alabama, and that is true. But we are the government of the state of Alabama of people who live here.
Yeah.
We're just like everybody.
Yeah, my family got
absolutely
here. So.
And in a weird way, they can certainly say that. But if you want to look at it a different way, we're y'all's lawyer.
Yeah.
I mean, you voted for us, for me, which I'm very, very thankful. But I'm your lawyer.
Yeah.
All 12 of those people sitting in the jury box, I'm their lawyer.
That's right.
And so they can say the government, and they can, try to buy into some conspiracy. But if I don't release a video, it's not conspiracy related. It is because if that video is released and I affect the jury pool that watches it,
yeah.
then I have a group of people, Reece, that's going to come to court and say, hey, I've already seen this video.
Mm-hmm.
My mind's made up. And the last thing I want is somebody to commit a crime in St. Clair County and then successfully argue that it needs to be moved to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I released a whole lot of information that's affected the group of people. And I'm not going to do it. If you commit a crime in St. Clair County, you should be tried in St. Clair County by St. Clair County citizens.
Yeah.
And so the conspiracy theory is always going to be out there.
Yeah.
There are always going to be people going, well, they're hiding something and they're doing that. No, we're not hiding anything. What we're trying to do is look down the road for when we get ready to try this case.
Yeah.
And where it should.
And as we talked about before, it ain't getting tried in the next. It's going to be an extended period of time.
It's going to be an extended period of time, especially on those more serious violent cases where we do have issues of DNA, of blood, of firearms, and things like that. And unfortunately, it happens here, man. And my family's lived through it, and it's awful being a victim and feel helpless, but also it is comforting knowing the men and women who put their life on the line for us every day. And we're just so fortunate here in St. Clair County. There's not, I can't say it enough. When you talk about body cam, is there a bad egg out there every once in a while? Absolutely.
Brilliant.
But do you know who hates a bad egg or a bad police officer more than I do? Is you guys.
Yeah.
And it's something that I can't convey to the public enough, is that y'all police your own.
Yeah.
And if somebody steps out of line, it is corrected. And just every leadership position within our county, we're so lucky. From our sheriff to you to other police chiefs, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, right.
We've entrusted you to protect us, and as long as we're doing what we're supposed to do, man, I'm there.
Oh, we
if
feel
you cross the line,
if you
cross the line, then I'm gonna hammer them.
And we will too. We don't like that. So, I learned a lot being in this position. It's kind of funny. I always look at it like, hey, well, what does the guy at Coke do? Okay, it's like the guy that runs Coke. This is two totally different fields. Okay?
Exactly.
But you get people that call in and they say, well, the officer did this. And I'm like, well, I can handle that. That's not a problem. But you ask the person, they're like, I want him to be fired. And I'm like, well, dang. I would agree that he made a mistake, but maybe he lost his cool a little bit, right? But the Coke guy that was in traffic and did he lose it? I get it,
right?
And that's unacceptable behavior, but we haven't reached that level yet. Like we've got to. There's got to be an in between. You can't just fire, because what it does is create stress at these officers at the officer level. I can tell you, these officers start their job here with this thing they call and this the CYA factor, right?
Yeah.
And it's like an anxiety bell that, like, hey, am I going to lose my job today? It's every officer deals with that. Every officer, and in that for the price of what what they make. That's a terrible. Like,
so we expect our officers to be trained in the law.
Yeah.
To be mental health professionals, to be able to comfort a family who's experienced some kind of tragic event. So, and a social worker in some point. And we expect them to do all these things perfectly. And Reece, you're not expecting this, but so I was on the scene with you guys, and for the public to understand the I'm going to use the word dichotomy of a situation that a police officer can be in. We had a tragic event. A man shoots a man. The man survives. There was an affair. It's a very emotional event, and he flees. And your officers find the suspect of the shooting. He's armed, and he is in a subdivision. And your officers convince him to drop all but one of his weapons. And you've got a group of officers who stood in the hot sun on a Sunday.
I mean, you were out there.
And discussed with that man saving his life. But while that's going on in a subdivision with an armed man, you have to make a decision to put up snipers on the roof, to put protection for those citizens in there. Because we've got a man who's already shot somebody in the middle of a subdivision. So when I say the dichotomy, I mean, you had men that were giving everything they had in their heart and their mind to save him. But yet you also had men who had to be able to take his life if he had raised that weapon toward
the public.
And the public doesn't understand that, of what the officer has to do. And then I'll finish that story with this. So they did it. Ultimately, that man shot himself in front of all of those men and women who were out there. This was a Sunday. Well, on Monday, we had grand jury. And 7 of those officers, your officers, that witnessed and experienced for 4 or 5 hours what I just talked about, were expected to be in their Class A uniform, studied and prepared to present the case of cases that had happened before to a St. Clair County grand jury. And we didn't expect anything less, and they did. They showed up and performed outstandingly.
You're exactly right.
So how do you turn off that? And then, so now we move all of that into they're human beings, and you pull us, you get a traffic ticket. You don't want the traffic ticket, but you don't know what that police officer's been through.
That's right.
And what they've experienced.
It's almost impossible for you unless you've gotten a bird's eye view, and that's what and there's ways to do that. Officers, you can do ride-alongs. You can try to get a bird's eye view of what these guys do, and even me. Things are changing at a rapid pace in law enforcement that I have moved off the street, so I'm making operational calls for the police department. But
sorry, I got us off on that.
No, it's fine. You're fine. But it's changing. The climate is changing. And I think it does about every 10 years. Like every 10 years, it rolls over. It's just a different thing. But I hope for a positive change. This next go around, I think it's going to be a positive change. I do. I feel like it will.
Well, let's talk about some success. We were talking about
sex crimes.
In sex crimes. We tried one not long ago with Moody PD. Alfredo Marty.
Yeah.
And Alfredo Marty was lived in our neighborhood, had been here for a few years, and had a daughter. His daughter was friends with a neighbor, and when the neighbor would visit, the girls would come over and play with Alfredo Marty's daughter. And in this particular time, Alfredo Marty lured one of those children away and took that child into a shed and attempted to sexually abuse that child. Understanding that the world wants some kind of video. those kind of people, for the most part, don't take videos when they abuse children.
Yeah.
So we didn't have it. We had just a wonderful 8-year-old little girl.
Yeah.
Who was able to get on the stand, and she did a phenomenal job. But your officers were fantastic. I'll give Lieutenant Homer, Stephen Homer, did a wonderful job testifying, and
Homer was the lead investigator on that case, and then some people that are no longer here worked on that case as well. And I mean, y'all put between us and the DA's office, how many hours do you think we got into that case? That was
I almost say, I couldn't even tell you.
I know. I mean, a ton of hours, and people don't see that either. You know, you see the detectives, and you don't understand that. Like, hey, man, that with subpoenas, with DNA, with interviews, an interview could last you could be there all day with one interview.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he didn't talk, and which is his fifth member, right? He didn't have to.
Yeah.
But
we're gonna try.
But we're gonna try.
Yeah.
And jury stayed out about 20 minutes or less.
Yeah.
On that one, which makes me feel when a verdict is that swift.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like I checked every box that I needed to check as far as how to present it, and that was with our new judge too, by the way.
Yes.
With James Hill.
James Hill.
And
it was an unprecedented outcome too. I
absolutely.
Believe.
He was convicted on all three counts, and it was sexual abuse of a child less than 12, enticing a child into a building for immoral purposes, and then sex abuse, second degree, with him being 15 years older than his victim.
Yeah.
And Judge Hill gave 3 life sentences, and he should never get out. Now, the backstory of Alfredo Marti is that he was convicted in New York of sex abuse in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Then he was convicted of manslaughter in Connecticut. He should have never been out. But he got out of prison in Connecticut somewhere around 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And he moves to our community. And then he abused this child.
And unfortunately, I don't want movie citizens to think this is just us. This is every city right now.
Absolutely.
Every city.
Well, we can't live scared.
We can't live scared.
But we can live vigilant.
Yeah.
And I want our citizens to know, look, it's real.
Yeah.
All you have to do is look at the sex offender registry. You can type in your street address, 123 West Street if you want to, whatever your address is, and it will show you the listings of those that live there.
Yeah. And
it's an unfortunate aspect of every community in the United States. And it's only, this sickness is fed by pornography. There is a market out there for child pornography.
Yeah.
I try to talk to our schools, Reece, and tell these young people not to take these inappropriate pictures.
Yeah.
And, I try to tell them, look, I don't care what's on your phone. I don't understand what y'all are talking about half the time anyway. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
But if they could just see the bigger picture, and every one of these pictures that are released out there somehow in this digital world,
they never come back.
And it feeds the sickness of these 6 people. And I truly believe that every time that happens, there's a child somewhere who's physically or sexually abused because of it, because it just feeds this sickness in it. But we're not immune here. And unfortunately, the trend of trying these cases.
So 3 life sentences.
3 life sentences. He'll never get out.
So what that says is that St. Clair County takes it serious. St. Clair County will hold you to the fire, especially when it comes to sex. And this is some good news coming out of the state. I know you've probably heard a little bit about it. The death penalty case, the death penalty will hopefully, it's on the dot.
I think that it's going to be brought up in legislation this year, where if it is a Class A sex offense involving a child, and I don't know what the age is going to be, my guess is it could be 12 or it could be the age of 6. And those are 2 numbers that are distinguishable in law, because the law defines a child as a human being less than 12.
Yeah.
But when we have child victims less than 6, and unfortunately we have child victims less than 6, If it is a Class A felony, then that punishment is life without the possibility of parole.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that those two numbers will be looked at by the legislature, and then they'll look at it. Now, what does that do? What it does for us, now capital cases are just different.
Yeah.
When we try a case that involves a death penalty, it's a whole different ballgame. And I'm not saying that somebody abuses a 6-year-old doesn't need to get the death penalty. I believe that they do. But what it does for us as a community is, so if we have a 2 or 3 year period on a normal case, and a capital case falls into a 3 or 4 year period.
That's right.
All right, and then all of these evaluations have to be done, because if you're going to take that man's life, we've got to be sure we've done everything we can.
And it don't end. I mean,
But it never ends. No, and the a capital conviction never ends. It is constant review, appellate review, and we've tried one in particular lately, and we continue to win or are successful at the appellate level. And
that means we're doing good work. That means you guys are doing solid.
So,
you guys are doing solid work that will hold up at the appellate level.
Well, when you read these things, Reece, man, they say I do everything wrong from the time I say good morning to thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And it's just googly gop. I mean, they're throwing whatever they can up there to make it stick. And, I prosecute hard because I want justice for our community and for our victims, but I don't prosecute unfairly.
Right.
I present it, and I think the law, there was some learned judge in the past that said a prosecutor is not going to be not allowed to throw punches. They just can't throw foul punches. Which is different than, and look, and we're we've got a good defense bar in St. Clair County. I am friends with a lot of those men and women. They're honorable and have integrity. Every once in a while, we'll get somebody from out of town that I don't really care for. But the defense in a case is different than the professional standards that a prosecutor has and should be.
Yeah.
They can say off the wall stuff.
Yeah.
And they can present some outlandish theory.
Yeah.
But we can't.
And if you believe in the system, then you have to believe in a valuable defense for somebody.
Absolutely.
If you believe in the system, you have to believe in it.
Absolutely.
I agree. Do I get frustrated sometimes? Yeah. But ultimately, none of us ever wants to be in a position of something we didn't actually do.
That's right.
So there has to. It's checks and balances.
Yeah.
And I do believe in the system. I do.
Me too. I believe it.
It
does get frustrating. I get frustrated. Yeah. I get frustrated sometimes with my adversaries, but it's not personal.
They're doing their job.
They're doing their job. Mm-hmm. But, I get frustrated at that. Well, my client needs a mental evaluation when they're saner than you and I.
Yeah.
And I think about, well, this is delaying the case. This is wasting tax money. But ultimately, if we don't do it, and then the Court of Criminal Appeals or the Supreme Court goes, well, y'all didn't take the time to check.
You've done it 8 other times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, I bite my lip. Sometimes I don't bite my lip. Sometimes I insert my foot. But it's part of the process. The process is the best one in the world. It's not perfect, but it is the best in the world. And Judge Weddington always says we just have to look to, people who get caught with some marijuana in Russia and get a 9 or 10 year sentence.
That sounds terrible.
It does. But
one thing I do want to bring up, and just to see, I kind of wonder if they're not going to address it this year at the state level, but is the Senate the bond guidelines, because all the citizens, this is a topic that citizens actually, it blows up.
Absolutely.
So you get like a drug case and you get a high bond.
$1 million bond.
And then you get a sexual crime and it's got a low bond. And I know why, but I understand that. And it's probably some stuff that we can't discuss on here, but I think there's 3 ways to skin a cat. Like we can, to get the investigative process done, I think that we can do it other ways. I just wonder if the state's going to bring that up.
I think aspects of it. I know they're going to bring up some changes to a NIS law. So let me back up and talk about bonds real quick. So when we look at bonds, the Supreme Court puts out a schedule of, and it's based off the classification of those felonies. So for example, a Class A felony that's not homicide or drug trafficking is up to $60,000.
Yeah.
Now, the judges have that schedule as a guide, but they can go outside of that schedule. And I think the law says with good cause shown.
Yeah.
But then you get to homicide. Murder used to be $150,000.
Yeah, you're
for
right.
murder, and then people were raising Cain about drug trafficking being 1.5 million, and rightfully it was increased to 1.5 million. The only case that we have where you can get a no bond is capital murder.
Yes.
Now we have a classification of cases through a NIS law that's new, that has come out. They're all Class A violent felonies. So robbery first, rape first, murder, arson first degree. Those first degree type violent crimes, we can request a no bond. Actually, the law says they shall be held with no bond until a hearing. And then we have what's known as now an NIS law hearing, where we as the state have to show that there is no alternative that can protect the community or another person to some.
It's a risk factor.
It's a risk factor that the judge has to look at. So they have to weigh, so if we've got a defendant who's used a firearm, who's got a huge criminal history, who's failed to appear before, then I feel pretty good that the judge is going to give us.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. I mean, 99% of people that went out that day and didn't pull the firearm,
absolutely
pull the trigger.
Absolutely.
Another human.
So,
yeah.
But then you've got the first time offender. Let's say it's a family argument, somebody shoots somebody or whatever, where they've not failed to appear to court, and they've, in those situations, the judge may give them a very high bond to ensure that they come back and put an ankle monitor on them or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, I've never been a judge. I don't always agree with our judges, but I always have confidence that our judges are making decisions based off the evidence that we present to them.
That's right.
And, you and I have had the conversation before. Evidence is it's a leopard.
Yeah.
It's got spots.
Yeah.
Those spots we can't change.
That's right.
So if your guys ever hear me go, hey man, you can't change the spots on the leopard. It is what it is. So we are handed through investigations what that evidence is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't change. It is what it is. Now, every once in a while we find that nugget that we need.
Yeah.
But it's still another spot. It was just hidden deep in the fur that we didn't see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Lyle, we brought up a lot of stuff. This is the longest episode we've had, and I have enjoyed every minute.
Well, I've enjoyed it too.
I don't want to keep you. You got people to prosecute and things to do at the office, and I'm sure I don't want to hold you. But I want to thank you for coming, and thank you for what you do for the county. It's a thankless job because it's not behind the scenes, but it's like, hey, that's just that. It's court, it's happening, and they're doing, so I want to thank you for what you and your team do. It has to be done. So, and we're lucky to have it done the way you do it. So,
thank you. It's an honor. It is a calling, and I feel so blessed that God has guided my life to such a degree that I'm able to do it. And
I think we should dispel a myth real quick.
What myth is that?
People think, well, attorneys. I said, attorneys, they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. Try working for the DA's office.
No,
it's not worth.
The men and women who work in my office do it because they care about
it. It ain't money. I can assure you that.
It's not money. It is. They work. For low wages compared to other attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
But Reece, I'm so lucky to have them. I mean, I've got 3.
Oh, they're phenomenal.
I have 4 that have 25 years or more.
One's hopefully gonna.
One's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
looking for possible judgeship in the
I hope that
Her
works
name is
out.
Carol Boone.
Yeah.
And for those of you who have been in court and seen Carol
She's a
prosecute,
ferocious
she's
prosecutor.
she's ferocious.
Yeah.
And she loves her community.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the defense or the defendants throw at her. She never wavers.
And your victims advocates do a phenomenal job too.
Man, yeah, we've got great Candy Cato and Patsy Taylor.
Yeah.
And Tanya.
People may not know, but they deal directly with all the victims, and they, guide them through the process, and it's a lot of work. A lot of work. But we've been in that. We've been the victim in some cases not us, but as a whole. But they do a great job, and I want to thank them while we got a chance to thank them. And I'm just glad you came, man. I enjoyed it.
This was fun. I hope it was educational.
It was. I hope it is.
Maybe we can do it again and
let's do it.
Take a topic that somebody may ask you about and try to break it down.
We will
From a prosecutor standpoint.
I'll do it. Well, thanks, Lyle.
All right, Reece, thank you.